So Happy Feet is a movie. I don't exactly know how it happened, but I just kind of remembered this movie recently. It was all over the place. And yet, it's not Disney, not DreamWorks, or Sony, or even Aardman. Just kind of an out-of-nowhere project that I felt like revisiting. In case you were wondering, this film was produced by Animal Logic. And though it entirely sounds like they're just one of those animal channels you'd see on TV, they're actually a very regular animation studio that did the visual and special effects for all sorts of movies before this. The Matrix, Planet of the Apes, or Mouse Hunt for people like me. But Happy Feet was a first for them. First time being the production company animation studio for their own thing. And boy did they have the marketing push, I guess. So we all know Happy Feet, right? All about a penguin born in a world where singing is the soul of the penguin, and our guy Mumble here has grown into a tap dancer instead, as his father dropped him as an egg. A pretty simplistic plot to begin with, but easy to hook onto very quickly. You got your musical singing beats, your physical dancing beats, the satisfaction when Mumble finally turns around on the society that hates him, all just makes a lot of sense with such a simple idea. And in fact, apparently the production details go that the early rough draft of the film's screenplay was pitched to Warner Bros. Studios' then president Alan Horn, who was so hooked by that first attempt that Warner had decided to fund the film before the team had even landed back home in Australia. This was, however, in 2001, as there were some delays, but still, 10 out of 10 for a premise. But when rewatching the film again, I would say this movie is far from simple. They really went above and beyond with some of the style they chose to do, my god. It's funny as well, this is another one of those movies I watched as a kid to go to sleep to, and I don't think I ever made it halfway through this movie. I don't remember the second half of this movie at all. I remember the egg a million times, the early tappings, the honking. Growing older and meeting Lovelace, but like, they go to him a second time and he's no longer speaking for like half an hour. I always saw he had a six-pack ring around his neck, but I don't remember him choking so hard he couldn't speak. Or maybe I just repressed all those memories as the poor 10-year-old boy that I was. This was like a seriously absurd awakening as I witnessed this baby-faced penguin I thought I was familiar with, standing next to realistic boat parts. Maybe that suggests the movie was missing something early on, as I routinely found it boring. Or maybe what was supposed to be interesting had faded away from re-watching the same 30 minutes over and over again. But regardless, seeing it again as an adult, I can come to really enjoy the artwork that comes out of this production. See, for one, the directing. You've got, sure, the standard scenes that'll probably go over your head for just being functional and seemingly good quality in nature. And then you have the squaw scene. See, early on, Mumble is threatened by some birds and almost eaten, if not for the leader of the pack going on to monologue about the time he was abducted by aliens, humans. And only here do you notice, the minion birds have choreographed the whole thing because he said it so many times. It's such an enticing large detail to plug in for what is, for the most part, kind of obscured away on the frame. And I love it so much. Why can't we have more productions that have some flair to them sometimes, you know? Maybe it's just because it's a musical. I forget how much I enjoy them whenever I'm not currently watching one. But also, this movie is a jukebox musical. What I've always touted as lazy and disingenuous. And yet, here, it feels like it works. Sure, bit strange how all these penguins just roll out the egg knowing how to quote,
"One who has laid too many."
whatever the hell she's supposed to be singing, but I still really enjoyed it. And there's more from the directing side. There's a part where Mumble is joined by 5 amigos, 2 of which are voiced by Robin Williams, but we'll get to that later, and they're dropped down this cliffside, and it is just bonkers. The amount of details for each of the 6 characters flinging around, getting ahead, slowing down again, it's actually a massive spectacle, and you can really see how this film just embodies choreography because there is so much of this going on, from the dialogue to the action scenes to the actual choreography itself. I am stunned by how interestingly this movie decided to present itself as it was a real home run of a hit for a first real attempt. Cool. But then there's more, because yeah, they've got quite the voice cast rolled out onto all of this. Mumble is Elijah Wood, Nicole Kidman is the mum, and Hugh Jackman is the dad. That guy cannot resist a good musical. Hugo Weaving as the bitter elder, and of course Robin Williams doing his thing as Lovelace and Ramon and Cletus. And the narrator of the whole thing. Definitely tell it's him.
Speak to me, oh misty beings!
But even more than that, In looking up any extra details that there was to learn about this movie, they even have included Steve Irwin. My god, it's only 2006. When did he die? Oh, 2006. Regardless, they caught him just in time because this movie released in November. This would have been his first voice acting role in a film. Everything else he's appeared on, he was himself, but for the first time here, he was Trev, the elephant seal monstrosity, as well as an albatross in a deleted scene that took place around this moment where Mumble is chasing after the fishing boat. And a scene was going to be done in Steve Irwin's documentary style, talking about all the other animals to the viewers and the impact people are having on their environment. Could you imagine all the other projects Steve could have voice acted in like this, had things gone differently? I wonder what kind of films were on his mind. This one was an obvious choice, not just because of its documentary-esque setting, but also the environmental messaging pinning the whole damn thing. Makes sense. I think it's pretty clear Lovelace is stuck to a six-pack ring for the majority of his appearance, and that's obviously a bad thing. I guess I lucked out on how quickly I fell asleep at night, because it almost gets grotesque the situations choked up Lovelace gets into later in the film. The dude is practically limping miles and miles, and then when an action scene pops up, he's just flung around like an undroppable chandelier. What do you know? It's another environmental call-out movie again. How typical. But it sounds inevitable, as apparently it wasn't a major part of the initial script. But considering this was very much an Australia-influenced production, being co-produced between the US and Australia, according to director George Miller, in Australia, we're very, very aware of the ozone hole, and Antarctica is literally the canary in the coal mine for this stuff. So it sort of had to go in that direction. You can't tell a story about Antarctica and the penguins without giving that dimension. Sure you can, Georgie. Norm of the North did it. Just make it a real estate movie instead. Duh. But of course, being such an environmentally aware film, of course you got Steve Irwin on board, as the plot of the movie talks about how all of the penguins are losing food due to overfishing by the aliens, the humans. Sure, they overcome this political hurdle through the power of dance, but I'm willing to allow it this time over. Welcome halfway in, here's your chance to grab a free subscription, or become a member for cheap. What's also fascinating about this movie beyond the choices in direction, voice cast, and messaging, is more of the methods they used to make it. These guys going for their first run were prepping to be pioneers, as they were more than willing to experiment for their movie. Of course, what you've got up front is standard computer animation on 90% of the scenes, like any good animated movie, and then jumping up a little into motion capture whenever the dancing sequences are needed. Kinda makes sense, makes the motions feel more natural and all that good stuff. Fun fact, Mumble's tap dancing was performed by the choreographer of the whole movie, but I guess that's probably not too much of a surprise. But then, the movie wanted to take things up a notch. Eat your heart out, image movers, and your heavy reliance on the motion capture technology, because the team behind Happy Feet wanted to go beyond, and they integrated CG animation with full-on live action footage. I feel like the biggest idiot for not knowing this about the movie, but I can't help it. I was literally unconscious every time it happened. See, look at this. At a certain point in the movie, Mumble is abducted, and he ends up in a little zoo area, out there in the human world. And while all the animals within the enclosure are animated and content, or at least conscious, when you look through the thick, kind of greeny glass, you see integrated, quite believably in fact, even now, live-action humans looking back at them. It is a truly astonishing experiment to try and achieve, and I think it works pretty nicely. There's no dialogue, it's just an emotional back and forth of stares and expressions. They're hidden away in tinted green as they're so distant from our penguin's reality, and I just love the audacity that the team had to try to make this work. And though they don't speak penguin, they react to tap dancing. Bit of a reach they just dropped Mumble back home after that, but whatever. And they appear again as a small group atop a high cliff edge. I gotta take some notes, cause I tried a green screen, but it is literally just me in a room and not exactly studio quality lighting. And I'm colorblind. Seeing this as a kid, I saw it as quite typical and kind of boring to start. I also have a tendency to shut off when I hear lyrical songs, so a jukebox musical probably just isn't ever for me, but looking at it as an adult, and it is quite the masterpiece. It's not perfect by any means, I have qualms with all sorts of corners, but I'm willing to ignore them for the most part for how briefly the highlights shine, and the pure passion you can sense behind it. And clearly, everyone else felt the same too, as it had a strong 76% from critics and 70% from audiences. George Miller would then go on to make Mad Max Fury Road, because he's the old Mad Max director, even since the 70s. Plus, Antarctica's just another wasteland in another climate. That's all. As for Animal Logic, they would go on to more projects as production company and animation studio with Legend of the Guardians, The Owls of Ga'Hoole. Oh yeah, and all the Lego movies. And Peter Rabbit, DC League of Super Pets, and upcoming Toto too. So they're well off as their own brand, and collaborating on all sorts of other things too. The movie, of course, was dedicated to Steve Irwin and a few other names as well. It turned $100 million into 384 and won an Academy Award for Best Animated Feature, even getting a sequel 5 years later. No, I haven't seen half of that one either. Or any of it. By this point, I had grown out of sleeping to VHSs and started making YouTube videos instead. But that was our strange little visit to Happy Feet, icy and themed for this winter season. For now, I'd best leave it here. My name's been Dazz, you didn't really care, and I'll see you in a bit.